Okay, so welcome back everybody. Today we are going to do a daytime look from the drugstore. That is what I like to call a casual slay. So this is practical for if you have 30-45 minutes to do your makeup, you can bang this look out and be looking just like this. You head on over to Instagram and you follow my Instagram. So feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to see more nail stuff, outfit stuff, bop bop. You can do that without anything else. With all that being said, let's get into the makeup tutorial. So starting off today with primer, we're going to use the Nivea Aftershave Balm. This is the original formula. You can also get it in sensitive. Just a quick note about this one, both of them are scented, so if you go with the sensitive formula, just know that that one is just as scented as the original. I have tried both. I have pretty sensitive skin, but I love the original formula. So we're just gonna smooth that into the face and wait for it to get tacky before we move on to foundation. For foundation today, we're going to use the Maybelline FitMe Hydrate and Smooth. I am in shade 125 Nude Beige. We're going to apply a good amount of this onto the face using a Real Techniques beauty sponge. First though, I'm going to dot this all over the face, like so. I like to tap it in around my nose where I get lots of redness. Just like that. I'm going to use the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Peach. If you can't get your hands on this, another one that I really love, and I have right here, is the NYX Dark Circle Corrector. This one's a cream pot, so it's a bit of a different formula, but both are excellent for this. So I'm just going to apply that right into the little hollows there, and also on the outer corner where I get a bit of darkness as well, and just start to really lift the eyes. So today I'm going to mix two concealers. I'm going to mix the Master Conceal from Maybelline and the Fit Me Concealer from Maybelline. If you don't have really dark circles, you don't have to worry too much about mixing. You could use just the Fit Me. If you like a little bit more coverage, use just the Master Conceal. I put about that much of the Master Conceal on the back of my hand. And then I use the doe foot applicator from the Fit Me to do, oops, I just got that all over my hand. To do about, I would say 3, sometimes 4, but today we're going to do 3 rounds just like that. And then I mix them together. In the Master Conceal, I'm number 20 light, and in the Fit Me, I'm using number 10 light. And the Master Conceal is a little bit lighter than the Fit Me. And we're just going to place that under the eyes. And before we do any crazy shape or anything, we're just going to get that product down. The tip of the nose, and then our exclamation point. I do a little circle on the forehead like that, and then take it over the brow, so I kind of like to highlight in that shape there. Definitely follow what your forehead shape is. That makes a huge difference. I highlight the corners of my mouth and my cupid's bow, and I take my cupid's bow wide here with this highlight so that it makes my lip look bigger in the end. If you have big lips, just go up the cupid's bow. Don't go side to side with it. And then we're just going to smooth that all out under the eye, like so. Again, using the side that I had the foundation on, I'm going to start by doing the chin. The reason that I use this side is so that it doesn't stick in one place. I want it to kind of blend around and just lighten up the general area. When we get under the eyes though, we'll definitely do a clean side of the Beauty Blender and we'll use the point. Going under the eyes and starting by doing this lower edge, we're going to blend that out up the nose and into the temple, and then going right up to the lash line and keeping that really dense concealer as much as we can there. I also take it over the eyelids. That way you can start with your base for your eyeshadows so that everything goes on as well colored as it can and really shows up true to color. You want to kind of cancel out the eyelids. So then going back to the foundation side, we're just going to blend all around those edges and onto the forehead. And last thing I do is take the concealer on the back of my hand and just highlight my little jawbones here. Like that. And this is going to go under where we place our contour. So it's just going to bring those little jawbones forward a little bit. Try to work with like the shape of your actual face. If you don't have a face shape anything like mine, then try to kind of work with what you've got going on and don't necessarily follow my lines so much. Sorry, I'm so long. To bake today, we're going to use the FitMe Loose Setting Powder. I'm in number 10, Fair Light. They do have a really good color selection in this, but there's only a couple of light colors, so I just use this one. A lot of people will bake with their sponge. I personally like to use a brush to bake, and I just use a really dense kabuki brush with a point on it. So here, you just want to press out any creases. Make sure everything's as smooth as it can be. You don't want to be setting creases into your makeup. And if you've never seen baking, welcome to the world of baking. So all that into the cap, you get a whole bunch of product. You pick up an obscene amount of powder, and you just start tapping it in like this underneath the eye, right up to the lash line. You want to get all of those places that are going to crease nice and saturated in powder. And then I bring it down in that same triangle and up the nose as well, right into that nose crease. So you want to bake in the places where you get oily, where you crease the most. So I bake under the eyes. We're going to go around the mouth, a little bit on the forehead as well. And I'm tapping here. Even if it looks like I'm rubbing, I'm kind of bouncing it. So you don't want to drag this around. You don't want the liquids underneath getting dragged around by a powder. You can do the chin, and then with what's left over, maybe a little more, the smile lines and the upper lip. Then we're going to switch brushes and go into a more fluffy, this one also has a point, more fluffy brush, same product, and pick some of that up and do a slight contour of that same jaw where we highlighted. Here, same thing. And just bringing it here to the corner of the mouth. So I kind of scoop around. And then I'm going to use that to kind of very softly blend these edges here and here. Be very gentle with this. Again, you don't want to pull any of those liquids. I do a little blending around the nose because I do want to sort of set in that light powder the whole nose. Especially if you get oily on your nose, definitely bake your entire nose. We can contour and worry about changing the shape of it and stuff later, but you definitely want to start with baking the whole nose. Just put like a whole ton of powder there. I'm just going to quickly press the creases out of my lids and set those as well. Again, this is going to be the base for our eyeshadows. So just using that same powder. Oh, and set the rest of the face now. To do that, we're going to use the FitMe powder. I'm using number 220 for this. I'm just using a nice big fluffy brush. This is a powder brush from Flower. I'm going to pick up some of that powder and start tapping it in to set the face. Now you don't want to drag this around quite yet because again, everything underneath is still wet. So you just want to tap it in. Don't worry about putting too much on. You don't have to be afraid of powders. I'm just going to tap it on to feel when everything is set, and then we can buff it in. Especially around this edge right here, you really want to get it set right because that's where we're going to put a whole ton of bronzer. You don't want your bronzer looking all splotchy and stuff in those places, so just keep that stuff in mind. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit funny today, guys. I do think I'm getting sick, so my apologies if it's driving you crazy. So now everything is set. That means nothing's tacky or wet if you touch your face. I'm going to start wiping away that bake under the eyes. You can do this with a smaller brush if it makes you feel more comfortable, because you can get skips, little skips under the eyes if you're not careful here. So you can either add a little bit of powder onto your brush to whip it away, or if you're very gentle and very careful and I know when my bake is set, then you can just wipe it away with your big powder brush and blend everything together. Don't forget to blend a little bit down the neck to make sure everything's looking nice and even. Really try to buff out all those places where you had lots and lots of powder so you don't get some cakey craziness going on. Then we're going to move into bronzer. So for bronzer today, guys, we're going to use the Butter Bronzer from Physicians Formula. I use the deep one. They do have a few shades in this. And just a big fluffy brush. We're going to bronze up the face. I like to bring it up pretty forward on the chin because I have a long face. So when you first start out, don't put too much bronzer, or if you cream contour, I'll show you guys that in another video, along your jawline. Be very careful that you don't get weird lines going on here. Make sure you bring it down these hollows here, a little bit of bronzer down these hollows, and also on the back part and into here, because you really don't want to have a strong jawline contour without blending it through front and back to kind of all these places. Keep that stuff in mind, especially when you're starting out, because that's the stuff that can really make a perfectly good makeup look a little bit crazy, is when you don't really take the time to fix up those pro tips. So if everything is looking good to you on the face. So moving on to blush today. Today we're going to use two blushes. We're going to use the Essence Mosaic blush in number 20. All you need is pink. Mine is trash, but looks like that. Then we're going to top it off with the Butter Blush from Physicians Formula. This one is in Natural Glow. It's a nice corally peachy blush with a crazy gold shift. If you have textured cheeks or any scarring or anything here, skip the blush topper, because this is like the beginning of our highlight routine. And if you have any texture along your cheeks, you really want to be careful with your placement of highlight, so skip the topper. And we're just going to apply that on the apples of the cheeks, very lightly dragging it back, not too much. Blush styles for me are very important. I have a lot of different styles with my blush, but for this look, we're just going to rosy up here along the nose and on the apples. We're not going to drag it all the way back. Sometimes I do. Going into this one, we're going to take a good amount of that and do the exact same thing. But this one will take back farther. Because again, this one's going to start our highlight. Like if you see, that's already giving me a really nice highlight there. Just a little bit on the nose. Okay, excellent. For our first highlighter today, and yes, we are going to highlight twice, we're going to use the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. You can get these at Shoppers. They're very cheap and absolutely stunning. It doesn't get much better than this when it comes to everyday highlighter. So just going from that little highlighted part of the cheek and dragging it back. Like, do you see that? It's so beautiful. And then just above the brow bone and up into the temple where you have sort of a natural ridge, if you have that. And then just around. I can hear how squeaky my voice is, and I really hope this doesn't sound as bad on camera as it does in real life. Oh geez, of course I decided to film my very first tutorial on a day where I'm kind of getting sick. Anyways, doing the same on the other side, and then highlighting the tip of the nose just like this. I like my nose to shine big time and from all angles, so do you when it comes to nose contour. And then here, just above the little bump in my nose between my eyes, the lip, and the chin. Gorgeous. gorgeous. You can go back into your blush brush if you want and just give that a little quick blend. You don't have to. You can also use your bronzer to give it a quick blend, whatever you like. For eyes today, we're going to use one of the True Naked palettes from Covergirl. Covergirl just announced that they went cruelty-free, and I'm so happy to hear it. I don't religiously buy cruelty-free, but it does excite me thoroughly when brands go cruelty-free that I've been buying for years. Like L'Oreal isn't cruelty-free, Maybelline isn't cruelty-free, but now Covergirl is, and I think that's so exciting because they just sort of rebranded and relaunched a whole bunch of new products, and I think they're killing the game. So fuck yeah, CoverGirl, massive shout out to that. I'm going to use a little bit of my bronzer to start the eyes, and I'm just going to lightly contour in my crease. So I'm going to do this by looking down into a mirror so that I can really see, because if you see when I look straight, I've got a little bit of a crease, right? But if I look down, then I can see that crease and I can really get in there. So taking a little bit of bronzer on a fluffy blending brush, we're going to start blending the crease out and just kind of dragging that out a little bit at the edges. A little bit more. We're going to do the other side. And you see how the eyes just got like a little bit of a nice natural shadow going on there. That's perfect. Next, I like to go under the eyes with my shadow. So we're going to go into the True Naked palette now. This one is Golden's, and we're going to take this really nice sort of gingery chocolatey color and just go on the outer corner first, under the eyes. Now everyone has a natural creasing under their eyes when they squint. So that's kind of what you want to work with, is that natural crease, and again, just kind of contouring out the eyes. So I don't bring this all the way across. I start really in the outer third or outer half of the eye, and I flick it out and up a little bit so I can start to really get that shape that I'm going to take any of my eyeshadows on the upper part of my lid in that shape. So that's why I do the under eye at this point of the game, so I can flick it out and kind of really see where I'm going there. You see how that really lifted the eye? Now we are going to do a casual day slay today, so I'm not going to do a wing or anything or any lashes or anything like that, but I still want to show you guys how I get those lines. Even when I'm doing a wing, I do this so that I really get the shape of where I'm going. And then here, now I bring it in. I don't go all the way to the inner corner, and I really keep this just in the crease here. Instead of going up to the lash line with it, I keep it really under, because then on top of that sort of subtle little contour we got going there, when I do inner corner with a bright highlighted shade like my nose, it's going to go on top of that, and then they're going to kind of blend together. Let me show you what I mean by that. So taking a little bit more of that chocolate brown shade, we're going to go on top of the eye now. And I'm just kind of tapping it lightly in the places I want a little bit more darkness. I'm not going to worry about blending or anything. I just want to get my shape down. Just like that. And it's always easier on one side than it is on the other. Keep that stuff in mind. You're not going to be the only person that struggles with doing your left or your right side compared to the other, you know? And then just going back to that blending brush, I haven't put any more product on it. I'm just going to blend those shadows out a little bit. Now, the less eyeshadow that you use per application, the easier it'll be to blend out. So keep that in mind. You can go in really, really heavy, but I would suggest in the beginning starting out with just a little bit of shadow and eyeshadow and trying to really build up those shadows in the eye. And then you don't have to worry about placing them perfectly where you need them. You can kind of blend them around. So if you go in with something dark or something bright right away, you really have to have your blending techniques down, or they're going to move around to places you don't want them to be. If you have any fallout or anything, just grab like a fluffy brush like this that's clean, and wipe it away like this without pressing it into the skin. Ooh, my nose is running. Next, I'm going to take my clean finger. I should do this with the brush to show you guys. Okay, let's find a brush. So, taking just an eyeshadow brush, just a basic eyeshadow brush, I'm going to take a little bit of my setting spray. You can do like water. This doesn't have to be a setting spray. And wetting my brush a little bit, trying to push some of the excess off. I'm going to go into this very yellow gold metallic, and because I don't want to fuck this up, I'm going to go in close with my mirror. Again, looking down into my mirror, I'm going to tap this all over the lid. This is going to be sort of like a faux cut crease. If you guys don't know what that is, don't worry about it. But it's a really trendy kind of makeup look right now. So tapping this in all over the lid, kind of around and in between those areas where you just contoured a little bit. But don't worry, if you mess up a little, we're going to contour again anyways. We're going to go into a fluffy brush and the lighter gold shade here, and highlight the inner corners while that's still wet, so that we can kind of drag them together a little bit there and up and around. See that? So it really kind of pops. Just putting a little bit of what's left on my brush under the brow there, and then going in one more time and doing the Cupid's bow. Usually whatever I put on my inner corner, I put on my Cupid's bow, and then I tap it on my nose and bring it down the bridge a little bit. That's kind of just my version of tying all the tones of my makeup together so that cohesively everything looks like it's meant to be on the face together. Just going in without anything on this brush to give that one more quick blend. And then here with the fluffy blending brush, again with nothing on this brush, to just blend out that wet edge that shouldn't be too wet anymore. And sort of flick these out a bit. Just like that. So I'm going to go into the Master Chrome concealers. I have two of them. I have Molten Gold and Molten Rose Gold. You can see the shifts there. I like to mix these together on a daily basis. This is not an everyday highlight for everybody. I understand if you don't want your nose to literally glow like Rudolph, this might be even too much highlight for you, but for me, it's not. So I like to mix them both, a lot of them, and then squeeze my brush so it goes into that shape, and then put it right up here in that one spot, just like that. And then just over the brow, this is another reason I do this all before I finish my brows, so that I can re-highlight just that tip. Again, I touch the nose and the lip to bring everything together. Boom. That's done. For mascara today, we're going to use the Maybelline Lash Sensational. This is hands down my favorite mascara from the drugstore. There's a million good mascaras out there. I have a couple more here I could show you. L'Oreal Voluminous is a classic, a tried and true. Essence has some really great mascaras right now. I know people went crazy for the Maybelline Lash Total Temptation mascara, so you can try out some of those. I put on 2 coats of this mascara as well. What a difference, right? For brows today, I am going to use the Make Me Brow by Essence. I like this stuff very much. I haven't tried any other brow product from, or brow gel from the drugstore that I really love. So if you guys have ones that you love, comment down below and let me know what they are. I've tried the L'Oreal Brow Stylist, not really a fan. I've tried the NYX one, not really a fan. They're just too wet and kind of clumpy, and they just, I don't know, they just don't work for me. So, and I love the boy brow. If anyone has tried the soap trend or knows what I'm talking about, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I love how cheap and effective it is. Basically, you take a bar of soap and a spoolie, and you wet your spoolie and you scrub into the soap and you do your brows, and apparently it's supposed to work amazing. So if y'all have tried that, let me know. I'd love to hear. This one has like little fibers in it too, so if your brows aren't, you know, if you don't need to fill them in totally, but they're a little sparse in some areas, it works really, really well to kind of make them a little bit more bold. The key I find with brow gels like these is you really just want to take your time to kind of blend it all through, because as it dries, it kind of becomes more pliable. So if you get them too wet or something, then just give it a second and let it blend out. Sorry for that last part of the video being a little bit whack with the color and stuff, guys. Give me a little bit of leeway when it comes to quality. I am filming this on my phone in natural daylight, so I hope for the most part you guys could see everything, see the color tones. I know it got a little bit yellow there in the end, but I did catch it just now and wanted to show you guys the final piece. So this is the final look. Very simple, very easy to create. We are 40 minutes in, and you consider that, you know, I had to show you the products, explain a little bit about it and all of that. I could bang this look out in like 20-30 minutes. In the beginning it might take you 30-40 minutes, but you can kind of cut back the things that you don't need. You get better and better the quicker you go. You don't have to use as many eyeshadows as I used. Yeah, outside of that, I really hope you guys like this one. I hope it works for you. When you just need to bang out a look and get out the door, but you don't want to look like you literally just rolled out of bed, or, you know, put a BB cream all over your face and mascara on and hope to God you look okay. I wanted to give you guys a very practical, very everyday, casual slay. So I hope you guys like this one. This is my drugstore edition of casual slay. And until next time, comment, leave questions. I love talking to you guys. I love hearing from you guys. Let me know what your struggles are in makeup. I'd be happy to help you with anything that I can, or point you in the direction of somebody that can. So on that note, we'll see you guys next time. Mwah!